Good morning. It is Saturday, March 27th, 2011. Welcome to another edition of Take 5. We're in Matthew chapter 12. Let's get right to it. He went on from there and entered their synagogue. And a man was there, in verse 9, is where we started. A man was there with a withered hand, and they asked him, "Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath?" So that they might accuse him, he said to them, "Which one of you who has a sheep, if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will not take hold of it and lift it out? Of how much more value is a man than sheep? So it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath." Then he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And the man stretched it out, and it was restored, healthy like the other. But the Pharisees went out and conspired against him, how to destroy him. Got a lot to cover here in the next 4 minutes and 10 seconds. All right, Jesus had just dealt with these Pharisees. We talked about that yesterday on the issue of the Sabbath. They had a real hang-up about the Sabbath. So now Jesus does something that really ticks them off. He goes into their church on the Sabbath. These Pharisees, apparently they all went to the same church, same synagogue. They called it synagogue back then. And he went into their synagogue, probably during their time of worship, most likely. But anyway, they were out there on the day that they would have their worship. And there's a guy there with a withered hand. Now that's bad, but it's not nearly as bad as a lot of the miracles Jesus had performed. So the Pharisees, they think they got him because they know Jesus wants to heal this guy. That's just what Jesus does. When he sees people that are hurting, he heals them. So they say, "Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath?" Well, it's a dumb question. So Jesus comes back with a question to them to expose their wicked, greedy hearts. He says, "What if you had a sheep that fell into a pit? Don't you think you'd get up out of your seat if somebody told you that, and you'd go find that sheep and you'd get him out of that pit? Because you know that sheep means money for you. It means wool, it means food maybe, but you're not going to let a sheep go, even if it means leaving the Sabbath and walking a lot further than your laws let you walk, and having to grab a stick or something and pull that sheep out. That'd be doing some work on the Sabbath, wouldn't it? Yeah, but if it meant you not losing money, you'd be willing to do it. You greedy." Now, he didn't say it like that. He just asked the question, see? And that's something you can learn from Jesus, too. A lot of times you'll have more success exposing sin in people's hearts simply by asking really good questions. So that's a good method to try. Unfortunately, with these guys, their hearts were so wicked that they didn't figure it out for themselves in the right way. They knew that he was pointing out their greed, but they didn't respond the way they should. So anyway, Jesus has the guy with the withered hand. He says, of course it's good to do good on the Sabbath. And he tells the guy to stretch out his hand, and he heals his hand. But the Pharisees went out and conspired against him, how to destroy him, was the last verse we read, because he came in. Listen to this now. He came into their church. You don't do that. Oh, you want to preach out in the streets? We still going to give you a hard time. But that's one thing. You want to go into somebody's house and heal somebody there. When guys drop somebody through a roof maybe or something crazy like that. You want to heal, cast demons out of people that's somewhere way out in the tombs or something. Well, that's one thing. But you come into our church during our worship service and you do this kind of stuff, we can't have that. Now, Jesus, you at least got to let us have our little flock here that we teach and brainwash every week. And since you won't let us do that, we're going to kill you. That is what was going on here. He had crossed the line. He had went into their synagogue on their Sabbath day and had proved that he was the Son of God. And they were trying to prove the opposite because they were trying to say he was guilty of something. So I'm just going to tell you like it is. And this is a hard lesson that some of you have been learning and some of you haven't learned yet. When you expose religious, prideful people's sin, they absolutely hate your guts to the point they might even want to kill you. You do not see me laughing, do you? Look, just read your Bible. prophet after prophet after prophet after prophet after Messiah after apostle were killed primarily by religious, prideful leaders. So if you want to watch out for who your primary opposition is going to come from when you're teaching the truth and when you're asking very heart-rending questions, and especially when you're questioning why leaders do certain things or why they teach certain things that don't line up with this book, get ready for the most extreme opposition that you faced. You can avoid it, however. Don't ask questions. Don't teach the truth. And you won't have anything to worry about. See you tomorrow in the next edition of Take 5.